In both Vancouver and here in Edmonton, the hockey catchphrase right now is wait and see. The Edmonton Oilers feel like they're a better team this season, but they need some wins to prove it. Vancouver Canucks, on the other hand, have a better record, but they've had some ugly losses that make some people uneasy. So they both need to step forward towards proof this won't be another winter of discontent. Ryan Miller needs a rebound, not just from his last game, but he's given up 12 goals in his last 3. And this would seem to be the place to bounce back. He's 10-0 for his career against Edmonton. Ben Scrivens could use a bit of a bounce back too. After 4 straight wins, he has not won in his last 6, and he started all 11 of the Oilers' home games this season. Referees tonight, Dan O'Rourke and Gord Dwyer. And all of the high-priced help for both of these teams is on the ice to start the game, and we'll likely see a head-to-head matchup with Henrik and Daniel Sedin, Radim Vrbata, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Taylor Hall, and Jordan Eberle all night long. Defense pair of Chris Tanev, Alex Edler back for Vancouver, and the Oilers start at the right end of the rink. They have Nikita Nikitin and Mark Fane out to play against the Sedins. They'll have to try and figure those two out. The two with 80 points in 40 games against them. Here's Hall with a little room off the wing. He snaps a shot, and Tanev blocked that. Henrik Sedin battling down low in his own zone. Hall feeds the puck in. Little cycle game as the Oilers take a page out of the Sedin's book. And the Sedins and Radim Vrbata get the puck back, and late in his shift, Vrbata dumps it in and starts the first change. So an encouraging start for Edmonton. They played in the right end of the rink. Mark Arcobello takes over at center now. He's with David Perron. Dale Yakupov, and it's Perron, number 57, with the puck and a rink-wide pass. Yakupov couldn't take it on his stick. Back is Ryan Stanton, paired on defense with Kevin Bieksa. Right up the middle, Nick Bonino feeds Chris Higgins on his off wing. Backhander, a big rebound on Scrivens, and Bonino can't put it in. Juicy rebound, and just missing was Nick Bonino. Here's the centering pass, didn't get to Chris Higgins in front of the net. That would have been a disaster. Bonino scored there. Here's Bieksa trying. Another shot off the side of the net from Chris Higgins as Vancouver on the second shift has a pretty good chance to get the game's first goal. Ryan Stanton weaving through the neutral zone, dumps the bucket, and starts another change.
Well, so much talk about a fast start. A good job by the Nugent-Hopkins line getting the Sedins pinned in their own zone. But the second line out, little inexperience, a bad turnover, and that created the odd man rush.
Leon Draisaitl, number 29, is forechecking here. He's with Teddy Purcell. Benoit Pouliot on the Edmonton forward line. Pouliot, number 67, with a shot. Missed the net. And the defenseman, Schultz, had pitched on the right side, so the puck comes all the way down the boards. Purcell is back. Gave the puck away. And the Oilers quickly got it back. Draisaitl starts out trying to bounce the puck ahead for Pouliot. Couldn't do it. Turned it over in the neutral zone. Canucks have Sean Mathias, Brad Richardson on the ice, and Zach Cassian's back in the lineup after missing 5 games with an injury, and they make a change here, and the fourth lines for both teams will come on the ice. Derek Dorsett playing with Bo Horvat and Yannick Hansen for Vancouver. Very reliable fourth line for Edmonton. Boyd Gordon, now he got a fight. A predictable scrap early in the game. This is Dorsett and Steve Pinizzato, a former Vancouver Canuck, a 30-year-old journeyman who was just called up to do exactly this, I think, fire up his team.
If you get called up in the American Hockey League, you get into the lineup, even though it's an old team you played for, you pick the guy who didn't play there when you did, and Pinizzato, no question about his motive early on. Get involved, be aggressive, and Dorsett is the one guy that you would pick. A little bit of a talk, a little tug on the jersey, and neither guy really got the jump. One thing you did see the jump on, though, is the Vancouver Canucks. If you make a bad read and there's Perron on the side wall, loses his man, but does a good job of coming back hard. And after a 3-on-2, he came back to the front of the net to make a help. Some anxious moments as the crowd, as you mentioned, Jim, settling in here as Scrivens was down and nearly got scored on.
Back to the top lines again. No manpower disadvantage here. 5 minutes each for fighting. To Pinizzato and Dorsett. Daniel Sedin with Vrbata and Henrik trying to come out of his own zone. Turned back. Alex Edler's back for the puck. Nikita Nikitin and Mark Fane on the ice against the Sedin twins again. Vrbata cuts through the middle of the ice. Tipped the puck to center. Daniel to Henrik Sedin. A little speed bump there, and he fell down, and Vrbata took a shot that went wide of the net. Henrik and Daniel gave up the puck. Nugent-Hopkins. And for Eberle out of his reach, so Alex Edler has the puck for Vancouver. To Chris Tanev and back in. And the play is just offside. Down between the benches, Glenn Healy's with us tonight.
Spirited start for both teams, and you know, when you play against the Sedins, you got to be so careful. There's a great play by Daniel. He uses his body to make sure he protects the puck, and they clear the zone. Speaking of clearing the zone, you see Daniel? No, he can't because he's gone, and yet backs off the D. Urbana finds that little spot in the middle, and they are out and playing offense. So dangerous to play against that top line. You're so aware when they're out.
Here's the Vancouver line that just about scored in its first shift. Nick Bonino's line. From a blue line, a shot and a tip right on. Higgins with another chance, and Scrivens had to be sharp there. David Perron threw the puck away. He's lucky he got outside the blue line. Ryan Stanton to Kevin Bieksa. A rink-wide pass. Higgins now with some speed into the attacking zone with his shot. Scrivens the save, and Higgins bounced the puck behind the net. David Perron only scored once, and he bounces the puck out to center. Mark Arcobello is in the middle. Over the blue line, Nail Yakupov gave up the puck, and behind the defense already is Bonino. Got nobody with him. Arcobello came back.
A couple of loose reads here early on for the defense of the Oilers, letting guys sit behind them. And that's something Glenn mentioned even on the stationary breakout by Vancouver, but they've done it twice here in the offensive zone.
There's Brad Richardson driving wide. It's a little different look from Vancouver. Centering pass, hit a stick and bounced up in the air. Matthias couldn't get it. Pouliot back the other way for Edmonton to dump the puck in. Teddy Purcell forechecking. And the puck is shoveled up the boards. And through center there again, Zach Kassian was trying to get in behind the defense, and he forced that defenseman, Keith Ollie, to stay way back on his own side of center.
That D group is not exactly mobile. So you back them off with speed, it'll work.
Alex Edler back in his own zone. Matt Hendricks on the forecheck. He's got David Perron with him, double shifting because of the penalty to Steve Pinizzotto. On comes Boyd Gordon to the front of the net, but the Canucks have the puck. Alex Edler to Chris Tanev. Slowly they'll break out to center. The Canucks are making a change here. Alex Burrows comes on to play with Bo Horvat. And Jannik Hansen, and Ben Scrivens hangs on.
And Jim, you think of the Vancouver Canucks have had 5 days to game plan against one opponent that they know they're going up against. So one thing they've looked for early is the D trying to jump up in the play. Petrie gets puck watching, doesn't see behind him that Higgins is all by himself. Another turnover, D jumping up on the play, not noticing another body behind. And you know there's got to be some communication on that Oiler bench with their defense to have a look behind them.
There's an Oiler turnover. Jannik Hansen has the puck, tried to bank it in off Scrivens and couldn't do it. Hansen back after the puck. David Perron against rookie Bo Horvat. Back in the lineup for his 6th NHL game. Perron, pinching defenseman Kevin Bieksa, wouldn't let him out. So they'll try the other side. And the Oilers do get out to center. Gordon got the puck there. He's going to change after he took a bump at the bench. And the Canucks move the puck back in. Jordan Eberle has just come onto the ice with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. The Sedins are coming on for Vancouver. And now the changes are complete and the breakout starts. Eberle with a drop pass to Hall. Couldn't make a move to get by Radim Verbata, and the Canucks have the puck back. Dan Hamhuis with his head up, gets to center. Verbata on his off wing, tipped the puck in. Jeff Petrie's back against him. Daniel Sedin forechecking. Here comes Henrik. And the Oilers get by him and get out to center. Andrew Ferentz to Taylor Hall. Here's an open Nugent-Hopkins with a backhander, and Miller got a piece of that, steered it wide of the net. Eberle from behind the goal has Hall with him in the corner. Petrie's available back on the blue line, and Hall's in a little trouble. Gets some help from Petrie to keep the puck in. And Hamhuis to Yannick Weber. Henrik to Daniel Sedin. Burrows is coming off the bench as the Canucks start to change, and he'll go after the shooting. Keith Ollie is back. Petrie, no forecheck here. He's got a little time as Higgins was just coming off the bench, so the puck gets to center. And Chris Tanev takes it back for Vancouver. Mark Arcobello is on him in a hurry. Nail Yakupov with a wild centering pass that didn't get anywhere close to David Perron. Chris Higgins, a hard around. There's the Canucks with a 2-on-1. Here's Burrows with Bonino, and a pass in the air that Bonino couldn't handle. Again, they get in behind the defense, though.
It's an aggressive pinch by Ollie on the left side there. Didn't get support from his forwards, and the Vancouver Canucks able to take advantage there.
David Perron. Arcobello to the front of the net, and Yakupov couldn't come up with a puck. Big that Schultz, who was up on the play, so he's caught. Here's Zach Kassian to the net, taken down, and the puck is cleared to the boards, but not out. Kevin Bieksa. Eddie Purcell for the Oilers. Drops the puck back. And a breakout attempt bounces through center. Here's Leon Draisaitl with some speed. Chased by Richardson. Stanton takes the man, and Draisaitl went down. Quickly, the Canucks will start out. They've got numbers to center. They're 4-on-2, but Kevin Bieksa lost control of the puck, and he turns and dumps it in.
Third time this period that the Vancouver Canucks have come up the ice with numbers, an on-man run.
And the net has been knocked off, so the play will be stopped here. Lots of continuous action, but no goals. The shot's 5-1 for Vancouver on Scotiabank Wednesday night hockey from Edmonton. In the face-off circle, Boyd Gordon's been money in the bank. He takes 60% of the defensive zone face-offs for the Oilers, and he wins 60% of them.
Well, he won 78% against Arizona, so you win the draw, and then you create a turnover. That turnover leads to a good scoring chance. That shouldn't happen.
And guys, the balance of being aggressive offensively, thinking offense, but getting caught. Look at the defenseman, Ollie comes all the way down. 3 forwards get trapped in, and there's the odd man numbers that Glenn was talking about early on by the Vancouver Canucks.
Derek Dorset, Steve Pinizzotto have served their time, and they're out against each other once again as the respective fourth lines face off. Oilers dump the puck in, and the Canucks try and move it right back out. Hansen tipped the puck through the neutral zone. There's a race. Dorset trying to get there. Scrivens played the puck, so no icing call, and he gave it away. Dorset. Bo Horvat along the boards. Jannik Hansen, the third man, and the pinching defenseman Yannick Weber couldn't get the puck. Hendricks overskated it. Weber dumps it back in for Vancouver. Horvat. But Dorset, who scored the game winner shorthanded in the last game that Vancouver beat Edmonton. And he just about got a shot from the same spot thanks to Spearman's giveaway when he cleared the puck. There's a long shoot in on Ryan Miller. Both teams changing. Top lines come back on. Henrik Sedin. Lots of space. Verbat has now joined him on his right. Daniels over on his left. 1-on-4. Henrik tried to make a pass that hit Taylor Hall. And the Oilers quickly get out to center. They might have numbers here. Eberle, though, left the puck behind, and he put himself offside trying to get control.
We showed the one face-off by Boyd Gordon. He's 5th best in the NHL. Here's another one. Of course, face-off win. Look at Hendricks. Tries to take off through the middle. No one picks him up. No pass made, and there was a result. No scoring chance. And so far now, 9 minutes into this game, I have the Edmonton Oilers with no scoring chances. But there's an example where you know the win is going to happen in the face-off draw. You can do set plays. Vancouver's maybe the best in the league at it.
Oilers are winning all the face-offs early in this one, though. 5 of 6. As Daniel dumps the puck in. Keaton to Keaton back against him. Henrik Sedin off the boards. Chris Tanev takes the shot, hit a leg, and bounces to the boards. Daniel trying to feed Henry. This is where the Sedins have given the Oilers so much trouble. The cycle along the boards, and now Daniel Sedin is knocked down, and there's a tripping penalty. And Vancouver's power play is going to go to work as Nikitin goes off.
So off the opening, we talked about how do you stop the cycle? You have to have good sticks. You got to try to shut them off and use the body and not allow them to spin off. The byproduct sometimes of that is you get an errant stick that knocks him down. They do a nice job of containing. Nikitin's got the battle here. He overplays it and just stick on skate. Sedin goes down quickly, and Nikitin didn't like the call. And an early opportunity for a power play that has struggled.
0 for its last 12, 2 for its last 23, so there's some changes. Hamhuis is on it with a shot that's blocked by Boyd Gordon. And Hamhuis has to get back in a hurry. Kevin Bieksa is there with it. Van Hendricks and Boyd Gordon start the penalty kill. Canucks have their second unit that hasn't scored a goal yet up front. Benino, Alex Burrows, who took that pass and then decided to curl around and set up Bieksa. Chris Higgins now. Hamhuis is available for the backdoor play, but the pass for the blue line is intercepted. Here's a 2-on-1 to shorthanded. Nugent Hopkins with Pouliot. Nugent Hopkins shoots, and Miller made the save. Alex Burrows with a long pass to Chris Higgins as the power play starts to change up. Henrik Sedin to Daniel Sedin to Higgins that hit the skate of Mark Fane. And the Oilers get the puck and they're able to clear it. Canucks were using Lyndon Bay as part of their first power play unit that's on the ice now, but since they failed to score in their last 12 opportunities, they've gone back to 2 defensemen. Yannick Weber is on the power play with the Sedins up front. Adam Vrbata takes a pass from Henrik Sedin. Daniels parked in front. Weber with Alex Edler, 2 good shooters at the blue line. Vrbata with the puck. Henrik Sedin, big crowd in front now. Oilers have all collapsed to the net. The puck didn't get out front. Weber on his offside had the puck poked away, and diving to get the puck out of his own zone is Boyd Gordon. Last gasp for this power play coming up. Henrik Sedin to Alex Edler, rink wide, out of the reach of Weber. Now he's set up Henrik Sedin. Daniel. In comes Yannick Weber. Takes the pass and sets up Alex Edler. Around the outside they go. Henrik Sedin to Daniel. Had Vrbata there for a second and didn't spot him. Vrbata now turns and fires, and he misses the net just as the penalty expires, and the Oilers are back to 5-on-5. Henrik to Daniel. To the blue line. Alex Edler passes off. Henrik. Defenders are tired now and need to stop and play. Henrik went after the puck behind the net. It's lifted in the air. It's Boyd Gordon, dead tired, put the puck over the glass and out of play. And there's another penalty coming up to the Oilers on Scotiabank Wednesday night hockey from Edmonton. Oilers' best face-off man and penalty killer is in the box, and this is a penalty born of fatigue.
Yeah, a long shift. The Sedins were in the zone for so long. In fact, even with the commercial timeout, they are not going to be on to start this power play. How did the puck get into the zone? Well, it's right here. There's the quarterback. He's telling his brother, come back with the play, we'll enter with speed, and they did.
The best opportunity came short-handed. Nugent Hopkins, look at the exit, take away the passing lane. You know Nugent Hopkins' best asset is his passing ability. He takes it away and forces it to shoot.
So the Oilers get the draw on this second consecutive penalty kill and get the puck down the ice. Mark Arcobello doing a nice job here forcing the issue with Matt Hendricks. And so their second power play unit, centered by Nick Bonino, has to regroup in its own zone. Dan Ham uses the puck carrier. Out of the reach of Kevin Bieksa, and that's an icing call against the power play, and that might get the Sedins on in a hurry.
Well, that's an interesting play, though. You know the fact that you get a TV timeout, as Glenn mentioned, and Willie Desjardins doesn't go with his top guys. You know the power play's been struggling. Maybe you're trying to give it a little spark by the second unit, but I can tell you the top players, as soon as that arm goes up, their legs go over the bench. They want out there.
Well, they're ready to go after this face-off.
And there's 2 in this building, Simmer, that weren't told when to go on.
Yeah.
That's saying Gretzky. It was expected. If you didn't want them on, you probably weren't coaching her for long.
Well, he had to stay for the icing call. The second unit power play is staying on the ice. They're not going to change and in the attacking zone. Bonino with a shot up high. Scrimmage with a nice save there. He fought it off. Dan Ham uses it deep. Double teamed, and the puck comes around on the boards, and Burrows can't hold it in for Vancouver. So now the Sedins are standing. Henrik had a leg over the boards. They won on, and here they come.
Burrows was back at the point, and Daniel standing up anxiously, waiting for him to come off.
Henrik, pass to Daniel, didn't get by Mark Fane. So they go back to the blue line. Alex Edler on the other side. Yannick Weber. Daniel Sedin. Weber moved over to the other side and was available on that backdoor play for Vrbata. Henrik and Daniel work the corner. Weber's in deep. Here's Daniel. Henrik, Vrbata's in the slot. The pass comes back to Edler. He'll walk the line, passes off. Henrik to Daniel, tipped wide. Weber couldn't get a hold of the puck. Fane couldn't clear it. The defenders can't change. Henrik Sedin, cross ice pass, too hot to handle for Vrbata. And Fane gets the puck, gets it to center. The Oilers only able to change one of their penalty killers. And the Sedins have them on the run again. Fane couldn't change. Now he gets the puck out and heads over to the bench. The penalty's over. Vancouver's 0 for 2 in the power play.
Don't you get a sense from that power play? It's still not as crisp as when it's successful. They snap that puck around without much thought. Seem to be a little bit pensive, a little bit hesitant, and not quite as crisp.
And that probably comes from failure over the last few games.
0 for 14 now.
There's Chris Tanev with an opening, moves in, shoots, and that was blocked. However, inadvertently by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, that his pass for Taylor Hall is just out of his reach. Miller has been very busy, played the puck on the boards. Eberle stopped it and was knocked down. This is a shift for Edmonton's top line, not against the Sedins for the first time in the game. And we got another scrap going on here.
The X is going to get a penalty.
I think he had the original, didn't he?
And he's trying to take Andrew Ference with him. And he's trying to take a pound of flesh, and it looks like he's doing it.
Well, Andrew Ference was a willing combatant, too. When the penalty, he got up and he went right after him in the corner.
Ran over the goalie.
So a couple of scraps, but nary a goal. The Canucks have outshot the Oilers 6-3 on Wednesday Night Hockey.
Welcome back to Rexall Place. Now it's time for our Boston Pizza Bio, and we focus in on a couple of hockey players from Saskatchewan. One from Kindersley and Gordie Howe from Floral, Saskatchewan. Dorsett never saw Mr. Hockey play live, but he's seen tapes of his game, and he's seen the drive and passion that Howe played with. Now, Dorsett doesn't have the same resume, but you see some of that drive and passion in his game. Also, something else Dorsett has in common with the 86-year-old, he once had a Gordie Howe hat-trick, February 21st, when he played with Columbus and against Detroit.
Oh, he's on his way tonight. He's already got the fight. Penalties here to Kevin Bieksa and Andrew Ference, and the Oilers are going to get a power play out of this.
And here's why the fight started. You can see a little trip up there by Bieksa, and Ference goes right after him. In fairness, it looked like Bieksa at the last second went to move and tripped over, so Burrows takes the penalty for Bieksa and a power play opportunity here for the Oilers.
Power play that's shown signs of life in the past couple of games, but is 25th in the league. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, David Perron, Jordan Eberle, Taylor Hall, Justin Schultz out on the power play.
Jim, they went for a dreadful 1-for-27 stretch until they finally combined for a couple in the last two games, 2-for-8 during that time. Just look for some confidence and some shots on goal here. Real determined effort to get the puck to the net.
Vancouver's penalty kill's been pretty good, 7th in the league. And some good hustle by Brad Richardson to get the puck out of his own zone.
5 minutes per fighting.
Killing here with Derek Dorsett.
Number 21, Andrew Ference. 5
This
minutes
time
per
Evan Alexander,
fighting.
the defenseman.
The time 14 minutes 46
Slowly out
seconds.
through center, then drop back. Eberle takes over, a hard pass into the feet of Hall, but he got it to his stick and throws it around for David Perron. Nugent-Hopkins, Eberle, and Hall, they're all in that corner. The Canucks get the puck and they come out with numbers, and it's a forward back checking. It's a 2-on-1, and Schultz broke up the pass, so it didn't get through to Derek Dorsett, who was busting for the net.
Good read, though, to pressure a guy that doesn't necessarily make those plays instinctively. Force him to make it under pressure.
RNH stopped up, lost the puck. Here's a breakaway. Jannik Hansen, shorthanded, scores! Jannik Hansen on a turnover just inside the Vancouver line by the Oilers power play, and it's a 1-0 lead for Vancouver.
Well, that's the third shorthanded goal against by this power play. 4 forwards on the ice. It's the defenseman bump up to Nugent-Hopkins, 1 against 3, and just an errant pass, but watch the read by Schultz. He stays to the outside, doesn't sense the danger, and nice delay by Hansen. Glennie held it for a split second, got Scrivens to move, and then made a perfect shot.
Once you saw the knee of Scrivens bend, he's moving first, right there. So he's already guessing where that puck is going. I guess wrong. Very aggressive penalty killing by the Vancouver Canucks. That led to that turnover, and it led to a turnover just shortly before that. That could have been a 2-on-1 as well.
Still a minute to go in the power play. Hansen from Sean Mathias, who made that terrific pass. And the Canucks clear the puck again. So once again, the recurring theme for the Oilers has been falling behind at home.
And too often on a power play, you turn the puck over, you're not thinking defensively. You know, you're way in the offensive zone, and there was a great example of just not making the right read.
Leon Draisaitl out of the power play now. He tried to pass, Tanev intercepted it before it got to Teddy Purcell, and the puck is cleared again.
Well, that's one for Nikitin there. You got to use your hand. Get your hand off the stick, knock that one down. You might have been able to keep that play alive.
You know, the vital signs for Edmonton are great. That's the 6th odd man rush that they've given up this period alone.
Penalty's almost over. Burrows steps back out on the ice. Oilers 0 for 1 on the power play. There's a shot from a sharp angle. Steered aside by Miller, and that gives the Canucks another odd man rush. Daniel Sedin leading the way. Passes off. Hamhuis scores! And it's waved off because there's a bump in front, and Scrivens was down and out. And this is waved off immediately.
Yeah, there was no hesitation at all. You have a little discussion between both officials. Heads are nodding. And this one's going to come outside.
Number 14, Vancouver.
Here's the chance by Yakupov. Hits the post. He stood and watched it for a second. Didn't realize he was coming back the other way. The 7th odd man rush. Nifty play. And you saw the contact there. Burrows trying to stop himself right at the front. And a job by Scrivens trying to find that puck initially. And he went down and off. And no hesitation on the call.
So a break for the Oilers there, and that they won't fall behind 2-0.
And I imagine, Glenn, in that case, you feel that bump, you might as well go down. You're not going to get at the puck, are you?
No, and I can tell you that the Vancouver bench isn't happy because they believe that he let the goaltender have the blue paint. The bump happened outside the blue. That's where the player's allowed to stand. But the fact that it's the 7th odd man rush, that's the story to me in this period. And the fact, again, that there's only one other team that's given up more first period goals, and that's Toronto. That's some concern to me as well.
22-10 now. Here come the Oilers. The latecomer Schultz shot the puck just wide of the net. That had some promise. Here's Keith Aulley to the side of the net. A tip just wide of the goal. This is where the Oilers have had some trouble. They get to the attack, they get the pressure, but then they've given up the odd man rush on the breakup.
Yeah, if you look at that for Schultz, he was coming in on a side. He's going to try to get the wrist shot through the screen in front. I think actually deterred him. He looked up and he couldn't see the net, couldn't see the goaltender, and ended up shooting it wide.
Keith Aulley shoveled the puck ahead. Nugent Hopkins at center as the top lines are back together again. Here's Radim Verbatim off the wing, a rebound sent to the boards. Edler read that and kept the puck in for Henrik Sedin. His pass into the middle. Daniel with a tip through. Alex Edler couldn't get his shot through, and now he's in trouble. Jordan Eberle has the puck. Edler trying to get back at him. Knocks his man down. No arm goes up in the air, although the fans think there should have been a penalty. And back comes Radim Verbatim. Henrik Sedin spins and deals. Stanton was checked, but Henrik got the puck. Daniel takes over. They just play with so much confidence in this building and have since they came into the league. Stanton. Henrik left the puck for Daniel. He tripped over the side of the net. That'll let the Oilers get out of their own zone. Yakupov with a minute to play in the period.
Last minute of play in the first period.
Here's Alex Burrows leading the rush. His pass is out of the reach of Higgins. And that's an icing call against Vancouver. They won't be able to change.
Boy, tough not to see a hand go up there. So often you get just a little bit of contact. The arm goes up. Excellent play defensively by Eberle. The block, little flip. Watch when he feels the pressure here. He knows that he's lost his edge to the net. And a nice play by Edler, just going shoulder to shoulder to stop him.
Well, the Vancouver bench felt that Burrows was not in the blue paint. The referees felt that he was. There's the evidence there. Clearly was, and the right call was made.
And Scrivens made sure they saw it.
If we had a ref cam, we could have shown it from the ref cam.
Yeah, exactly.
Why don't they wear them anymore? Well, that's a subject we won't go into.
Non-call on Edler would give a good sense of where he was looking at as well, right?
Yep, totally.
We're creating a scarcity, so people like it even more. Dan Hamhuis. Jeff Petrie's back. Mark Arcavello in support. There's Higgins with a shot from the slot that was blocked. Chris Tanev with Burrows back in front of Scrivens. There's the shot. Burrows on the rebound. Couldn't get it. Tanev with his shot. Nice save by Scrivens. Rebound is knocked wide. As the Canucks come close again. Perron. Backhander off the glass out of his own zone in the dying seconds of the first period. Chris Higgins with a long shoot in, knowing the time was running out, and the first period comes to an end. Shots were 10-4, good buddy, for Vancouver over the Oilers, and the only goal was scored shorthanded by Jannik Hansen at 15:41. Coming up in our first intermission, go behind the scenes, and the GM meeting's just completed. And here's Darren Millard.
Welcome back to Rexall Place, where Edmonton and Vancouver are through one period of play. The best opportunity for the Oilers in that first period coming off the stick of Ryan Nugent Hopkins, one of the few times he has been stopped this season. He has played like a superhero, and Oiler fans have done some Photoshop work. Who are you going to call? I guess Ryan Nugent-Hopkins Ghostbusters? Sylvester Stallone being replaced in the many Rambo movies. And yeah, when he gets mad, he gets a little green and maybe a little red in the face. He can replace Chuck Norris, and he does give a Jean-Claude Van Damme about what the Oilers do on the ice.
Gee, they could use a superhuman effort in this second period from him. He's out on the ice to start the second period. The Oilers had a tough first period. They gave up way too many odd man rushes, and they're lucky to be down just 1-0 as Verbata takes the shot, and that almost handcuffed Ben Scrivens in the opening seconds of period number 2.
Well, that's what it's all about, is a response. Dallas Eakins talked about needing to have his team focused from the beginning, get everybody involved, get an offensive game going right from the start. And as you mentioned, the first shift, the Nugent-Hopkins line did it, but after that, it was all Vancouver.
It's a good thing Scrivens had his focus, because he was a busy man in that first period. Could be 3-0 so far. It's not. The Oilers are one shot away.
And Miller at the other end, not so much. Maybe one scoring chance. Here's Taylor Hall, hits the trailer, feign, shoots up high. That's blocked by Tanev. And a bouncing puck is taken by Henrik Sedin. Daniel rushing to join him, takes the pass. Verbata's on the other side. Daniel's shot was blocked. Henrik to Verbata to Daniel. That ricocheted off Mark Fayne. Canucks get the puck back. Yannick Weber in deep. Henrik for Daniel. And back. Fayne stepped in to try and break that up. Nikitin took the puck. And the Oilers will start a breakout of their own. Nugent-Hopkins with the shoot-in. Both teams will make changes as Dan Hamhuis goes back for the puck. His outlet off the boards. Chris Higgins takes over. He's got Burrows with him in the slot. And his weak shot was stopped by Scrivens, and it was almost a change of speeds that gave him some trouble, and he's got the puck underneath.
Well, so far, what would be a goal saver by Chris Tanev. And for you look at Tanev, he's a guy, minor hockey, he was cut from a team 5 different times. And now here he is playing in the National Hockey League. He works out with Gary Roberts in the summer, and it's just quite a story. Just stick to it. Good things can happen. You achieve your dream.
Rochester Institute of Technology doesn't put an awful lot of players into the NHL, but that's where he came from. Canucks get the draw. Ryan Stanton. There's the shot by Tanev into a crowd in front of the net. It's blocked, and the Oilers start up. Purcell looking around to see who's with him. Takes the shot. There's a big rebound off Miller. And Stanton is back to get the puck. Purcell in deep. He's got Pouliot with him. In front of the net, Leon Draisaitl. Pouliot, there's Draisaitl with a shot. What a save by Miller. And a second one, and he's got that too. Finally into the game, busy and good.
Now you see the reaction of Schultz. He was backing up, thinking he had to get back defensively. Instead, the rebound came there. Nice job of turning pucks over. Stanton loses the puck battle down below. Nice job of Purcell keeping it alive, protecting it to the outside. Sift back into that soft seam. 2 quick passes creates a chance. And there on his back foot, Schultz. Hard to get his balance going forward there. Couldn't get the puck up quite high enough.
First shot by Leon Draisaitl, his first of the game, and that's the first tough one for Miller. Trying to follow it up. Oilers have their 4th line on the ice. Pinizzato. Hendricks. Boyd Gordon's in the slot. Back to the blue line. Ferentz with a shot that went wide. Petrie pitches on the other side. Threw the puck in behind the net. Pinizzato battling with Weber. They both go down hard, and it's an Oiler penalty coming up here. And it'll be to Steve Pinizzato. Vancouver's going to get its 3rd power play of the game.
Well, you could take your pick here as Pinizzato pleads his case. I think both were tied up with each other going after the puck. Look at Weber. Weber's got his right hand on Pinizzato's stick. And then Pinizzato flips him around. Right there, there's the hold on the stick and the reaction. I think Pinizzato thought he drew a penalty. Instead, he's the one that ends up in the box.
And Weber gets off scot-free.
The positioning of the referee, too. It's out of his line of sight, so he makes the call that he sees, which is the one right in front of him for Pinizzato to sit for 2.
3rd power play of the game. This time Willie Desjardins goes with his first unit. The Sedins come onto the ice. There's Verbata with a shot. He scores! Wow, that didn't take long. Right off the draw, Radim Verbata gives Vancouver a 2-0 lead.
Guys, there's something called puck awareness. And this is just a horrible example of the Oilers getting puck focused but then lose sight. Watch the bodies in front. Everybody leaves the front of the net. You leave the one guy who's the most dangerous. A right-handed shot on his offside, a little bump back, and no chance at all for Scrivens there. Hendricks is the forward. He's got to release there and get on the defense. And instead, it's in the back of the net. What a mistake.
3 seconds. 3 seconds after the penalty.
Gordon wins the draw. 3 players go to the puck. Bravada, he could have taken 7 steps into that thing.
The assist to number 22, Daniel Scrivens.
Henrik and Daniel will get assists, as they should have, because Daniel helped Henrik out of the faceoff and got the puck to Bravada. So the big line for Vancouver strikes on the power play. It's their first power play goal in the last 14 tries. And they're back on the attack, leading it 2-0. Bo Horvat, Derek Dorsett, Jannik Hansen, who has his first goal in 10 games. He's in the slot. Schultz battling to get the puck back. Good work by Horvat to protect it. Down the boards, Ryan Stanton pinched and the puck got by him. Horvat was backing him up. Kevin Bieksa is back to the puck. Justin Schultz with a long pass for Taylor Hall. Edler came straight over at him. Jordan Eberle checked by Bieksa. Nugent Hopkins to Taylor Hall. Eberle had to look around, decided to protect the puck and throw it back to the blue line. Petrie with a shot up high, knocked down in front of the net. Zach Kassian starts out for Vancouver. Mathias is with him and Richardson heading for the net. The puck goes deep and Brad Richardson gets a hold of it. Double teamed behind the net. Nugent Hopkins is back for the puck. Petrie to Ferris. Jordan Eberle in center. Taylor Hall, the nifty little pass back, then Hall's stick was checked. Good job by Alex Edler, and the Canucks have the puck back. Trying to start out with numbers here. Edler goes wide, hits the trailer, and Mathias shot the puck wide of the net. Chris Tanev in deep. On comes the Sedin line as the puck's thrown at the net. Nugent Hopkins late in his shift, got the puck out to center. Here's Dan Hamhuis to Daniel Sedin. Into the middle, Radim Bravada. Henrik drops in behind him. Bravada again decides not to shoot it. Now he threw the puck out front and it's in some skates. And cleared out to center by Leon Draisaitl. Yannick Weber off the boards and back the other way come the Canucks. Bravada goes wide on Ferris. Threw the puck around to Dan Hamhuis. And back, a little tip through. Daniel. Henrik. Daniel. Weber shoots and Ben Scrivens makes the save and stops play.
Well, you wonder why players talk so much before faceoffs. It's so everybody understands their assignment. And here, right, Hendricks has got to go through and realize where that puck is. Instead, both the defense and forward go to the same guy.
You also got to be aware who you're on the ice against. Taylor Hall looking down at the puck. Kassian lining him up. If not for another Vancouver player, the result would have been different for Hall.
Oilers got this draw and get the puck up to center. Ryan Stanton standing up there. Pinizzato now with some room. Shoots, he scores! Steve Pinizzato called up for his first game this season, has his first National Hockey League goal, and the Oilers are within one.
And it was a beauty. This is a play off of a face-off. Tried the stretch pass, didn't work. But you can see defenseman Stanton gets caught, he gets picked, and this is just an absolute rocket. It's been an easy night so far for Miller. He hasn't been tested. This one just fools him. Short side, right up over the glove.
19th game of his career, 12 of those were played with Vancouver, and he has his first NHL goal at the age of 30. Persistence pays off.
You saw with Chris Tanev his persistence, so why not have an Oiler have that same persistence? You know, most goaltenders will not tell you where they have a weakness. We all know that they do. But Ryan Miller, we're on the street. If you shoot to the glove, more than likely you're going to get chances at goals. And there's an example that may have hit Bieksa's stick on the way in to help it.
You can just see the reaction. He actually overplayed it up high, went just underneath.
Just a little tip off the stick of Bieksa. See if the Oilers can Get some enthusiasm in their game after that.
Sure helped for the crowd, didn't it? And this was a quiet building and one that Vancouver, mission accomplished, came in and kept the place quiet.
Here's Ryan Stanton shooting wide when Pinizzato couldn't clear the puck. On the other side, Matt Hendricks trying to get the puck out. Did get it to center, but not with possession. Stanton sees his teammates starting a change, threw the puck up the middle, and here come the Oilers again. Teddy Purcell passes off, quick shot is blocked. Comes right back to Justin Schultz. His cross-ice pass, bobbled, and they can't get the puck by Miller. Just a fraction of a second at the side of the net, and now here's a chance for Zach Kassian. On his own, being pursued by Schultz. Deeks, great save by Scrivens. Wow, wide open and crazy now. Back comes Teddy Purcell. Takes a shot, Miller makes the save. Alex Edler cleared the puck off the glass and up into the netting, stopping play. Now we got game on as there's chances at both ends. It's a 2-1 Vancouver lead on Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey from Edmonton. Shots are 7-6 Vancouver in the second period. Both goaltenders are busy and good now.
Yeah, putting on a show for sure. Everyone in the building thought Schultz was going to shoot this. Particularly in white sweaters, he doesn't. The pass is just too hot for Purcell. Ollie gets caught, and Scrivens makes what would be his 8th odd-man rush save, his second breakaway save, and you be the judge. Did the puck go off the stick? It seems to flutter as it leaves. Stick of Pinzzato, that's not a normal flight path for a puck, so probably a little direction by the exit.
Steve Pinizzato, 30 years old from Oakville, with his first National Hockey League goal, and it's a big one for Edmonton. They're trailing 2-1. Sedins have been all over the puck, and here they are again on the ice against the Nugent-Hopkins line. There's a drop for nobody in particular, and another odd man rush. Henrik Sedin for Daniel, that deflected off Nikitin and almost into the net. That was going to be a beauty of a backhand saucer dish. Edler up the middle. Look at that tip. Look at that. Daniel to Henrik. Rabada's out front. Daniel along the boards. Back to the blue line. There's Bieksa's shotter. Weber make that, and Scrivens makes the save and hangs on. Saturday night on Hockey Night in Canada. 5 games, including Toronto and Detroit. A great rematch between the Boston Bruins and the Montreal Canadiens, and even 2 late games on Saturday, with Edmonton playing Chicago and New Jersey and Calgary. It's Saturday night. It's Hockey Night in Canada. Wednesday night hockey from Edmonton tonight, and Vancouver in the lead. Yannick Weber off the draw, puts the puck in deep for Vancouver. And the fourth line goes to work. Horvat is the forechecker. Puck comes loose, and Yannick Hansen chopped it just wide of the net. After some persistent work by Horvat on the end boards, here's a neutral zone turnover. Pouliot, Purcell, his shot, nice save by Miller. Loose puck in front of the net. Too many Canucks there, and the puck was cleared away.
Saved by Weber, Huey, right on the line.
Derek Dorsett gets the puck deep. Miller was in no position to smother the rebound there. He made a great save, and Weber saved the day right after. There weren't enough Oilers around there, though.
That's something that's plagued them a bit, is not going to those hard areas, stop on the net, try to hunt down that rebound loose puck.
Teddy Purcell tried to curl and drag, and his shot was blocked. Oilers are changing on the fly. Ryan Stanton to center. Chris Higgins couldn't get the puck, and because of that, Alex Burrows coming behind him. Carried the puck in offside.
Well, you see from the neutral zone, you get a little bit of speed, a turnover, and now you get a middle drive, puck to the outside, and there's the puck was there for a split second, a little bobble back and forth between Hamhuis and Weber able to clear the front.
But it was all white sweaters around the net.
You can't continue to do the flyby. I would have liked to see Purcell just take it hard to the net himself there. Something good's going to happen if you go hard to the net with the puck.
Jeff Petrie trying to clear the puck with some help from Mark Arcobello. He has to stop and go back. Kassian kept the puck in. Sean Mathias now. Richardson's in front. Mathias holding off Petrie. Kassian takes over as Richardson goes back to the front of the net. 1-on-3. Kassian finally hounded by David Perron until he got the puck out to center, and it's shot right back in by Alex Edler. Andrew Ference trying to clear the puck. Didn't get it out. Kassian, side of the net. Mathias scoops the puck towards Richardson, deflected up high. And the Canucks have the puck again. This is all off a turnover 20 seconds ago. Ference along the boards. Mathias trying to hold the puck in. Brad Richardson takes over. Burrows has come on. He's in front of the net. Mathias turns away from Ference. The centering pass. Burrows kicks it up. Can't get the shot. Mathias, he's wearing out these defensemen, Petrie and Ference, who probably like to change. Vancouver's getting a full change with pressure on. Yakupov has the puck. Sent all the way down the ice on goal by Ference, and that'll allow him to get a change here.
Yeah, Miller thought about putting it right back up ice and not allowing him to get a break.
Their stretch pass. The Canucks have used a lot of that tonight. Burrows couldn't get away. He's with Higgins and Bonino. An outlet, another turnover. This time by Keith Aulley. Chris Higgins with a shot. He scores! The Oilers had the puck. They keep giving it back. And this time, Chris Higgins put it in the net. It's 3-1 Vancouver.
And it's not only the dreaded turnover, but when you're fatigued, your brain's not functioning at the level it has to make a quick decision. It's a late decision by Aulley, but look at the path he took. A little dip to his right, that gives Higgins some time, and this is one again, a goal scorer's goal. Quick release, 14 inches stick side, and that reaction by Scrivens says it all.
Edmonton Oilers lead the NHL in turnovers, and they're leading the NHL tonight in turnovers. That's the 13th turnover that leads to a goal. You get back in the game, and that's a heartbreaker. In the game of pool, it's not what you make, but what you leave. You're giving chances to the other team.
And the Canucks are jumping on him. Higgins has his fourth from Bonino at 9:39 to make it 3-1.
The Canucks goal scored by Higgins.
Nikon's best lenses at Nikon's best prices. This is no time for compromise. See an authorized Nikon dealer for details.
Vancouver with a 2-goal lead. The Sedin's back on. Henrik with a shot that went off the heel of his stick. Hall, Eberle, and Nugent Hopkins. They haven't been able to get anything going tonight because they played head-to-head with the Sedins, who've been good.
First shift was their best, and hasn't been a whole lot since.
Trying to find the puck right now is Eberle, and he did, and Miller stopped him. Look what I found. Miller made the save. Edmonton's got a long way to come back, trailing Vancouver by 2 on Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey.
Starcam, let's see the stars we're keeping our eyes on tonight. Hall, -1, no shots. Okay, we've had enough of him for the Starcam. So let's go to the dynamic duo. Yes, they are back. Henrik and Dano, big part of the game tonight. With Verbata, the three of them have 48 points now as a line. Oh, so dangerous. I mean, we didn't even show the goal scorer. Just a lot of Henrik and a lot of Daniel, but there are a lot of stars in the building tonight. Vancouver's got more of them than the Oilers.
Good bounce back night for the Vancouver Canucks. They weren't very good in their last game against Arizona. Here's a chance for Schultz. Right down the middle. Takes the shot and he just missed the net. He's had a couple of beauties. Wide open there to walk in off the right point.
Key play by Edler there, though, to take away the bottom of the net. It's a distracting shot for Schultz again. He's had 2 great chances in alone and a body in front of the goaltender on both shots.
Talked about the Sedins being back. Edler looks like he's back after a disastrous year under Tortorella.
Some guys just need a hug. Here's Yannick Weber. His shot deflected wide of the net. Dan Andrews pitching against Eberle. Dallas Eakins has got this Nugent Hopkins line changing on the fly out against somebody other than the Sedins, and he probably needs to do that a little more, don't you think?
He hasn't seen them get their offensive game going, and when you're down by 2 yet again, that's the real need there.
They've been defending too much because the Sedins are good tonight.
You mentioned about the Vancouver game, Jen. There is a perfect opportunity for them to regroup with the 5 days off after a disappointing loss.
There's a penalty coming up here as Eberle's taken down, and the Oilers will get a chance on the power play. As Alex Burrows goes to the penalty box, and Edmonton badly needs a power play goal.
Well, they need a little push, and they started to get it with another great chance by Schultz, but you could see his vision got taken away. The bottom half of the net was protected. Here again, Eberle with some speed, a little hack on the legs, and now you got to follow that up. It was a long shift by the Eberle Nugent Hopkins Hall line, and that's maybe a little bit bad luck for the Oilers to start a power play without him.
So they have Pouliot, Yakupov, Mark Arcabello who won the draw. There's the shot, score! Teddy Purcell right off the draw. Well, Vancouver scored a power play goal 3 seconds after a penalty. The Oilers have trumped them. They did it in 2.
Well, watch the reaction of Dorsett. He's just slow to get there, and the puck is a perfectly placed face-off win, tape to tape, comes back with speed and a deflection off of Dorsett's stick. Look at the reaction of the goaltender Miller. Can't believe it. There's the tip, and a big break for Edmonton off of a heck of a good hard shot.
I like the response by Dorsett after the goal. He knows he's deflected it. Comes back, taps the goaltender. Sorry, pal. That was not by purpose and design.
Teddy Purcell's had most of the chances, and there's another one, and it's a tie game. Boyd Gordon. Two goals in 11 seconds, and that one had eyes and got under Miller, who was probably still thinking about the own goal, the tip just before.
Well, it's deja vu all over again for Vancouver. Friday night against Arizona, it was 2 goals in 9 seconds. Here, you've got a dump in, opportunity to retrieve and make a play. Good hard forecheck, nice bounce, and a shot that Miller's still looking behind him. Can't believe it went in through his legs, under his toe.
Well, that changes this game, doesn't it? 3-3 tie. Just like that, 2 in 11 seconds. And Mr. Reliable, fourth-line center Boyd Gordon has tied this game. And so Dallas Eakins then turns it over to his top line to see if they can keep it going. And they're in after the puck. Taylor Hall, Jordan Eberle, Ryan Nugent Hopkins. RNH chased the puck down. Fed to Keaton from the blue line. His wrist shot. Good idea to throw it at the net. Loose puck after Miller made the save. And Miller might be a little rattled right now, so not a bad idea just to throw the puck at the net.
He didn't look like the only one. You see Daniel Sedin there whiffed on the puck right in front of his own net. What a change of momentum so quickly in a building that was really out of the game, quite frankly. Now it got some life, and so do the Oilers.
Teddy Purcell tried to tip that. He didn't, and so it goes for an icing call against Edmonton.
Wow, we've had some predictable goal scorers, haven't we? Pinizzotto, Hansen, and now Boyd Gordon. This is just a bad goal. This is from an impossible angle. The goaltender, Miller, is not square, through his legs. Kind of the same spot that Sidney Crosby scored the golden goal from. It's not a good one for Miller.
There's Scrivens kicking a shot out up into the net. You know, you think that Miller looked like he was still rattled from the first one, and he hadn't recovered.
Yeah, he's still trying to get himself refocused. It's been a really interesting start to the season. 11-1 start for him. Good goals against average, and the last 3 games, though, he's been more susceptible to these types of goals, and that's why his save percentage is down at that .902 level. And dropping with tonight's game.
Good Cuban on the Lasik net can. There's Scrivens with a save as he stopped Nick Bonino as the Canucks try to get their offense going again.
What's been odd with this Canuck team is when they lose, they've lost big.
Yeah.
Their goals against in the 6 games they've lost has been 5.0 per game.
Look at Ryan Miller in wins and losses. You don't see a disparity like that very often. His save percentage is not even 80% in his losses. An icing call against Edmonton, and 2 quick goals have the Oilers in a tie.
Right off a face-off, the puck comes perfectly back, and put your head down and shoot the puck. A little deflection, a bad angle goal, and all of a sudden this Oilers team has some life.
You know, you talk about the losses and big losses. The game against Dallas, they lost 6-4. Yet Dallas's goaltender was the #1 star. When do you give up 4 and you're a #1 star and your team scores 6? So they have been pretty good in some of those losses.
There's Miller. Made a save with the short side. Yakupov in forechecking. Back to the blue line. Justin Schultz with a screen shot knocked down by Ryan Stanton. Yakupov and Arcobello got after the puck and got it back in deep again. Kevin Bieksa turned the puck over. Arcobello trying to find it. Couldn't get it to the front of the net. Trying to set up Yakupov. There was a great opportunity for Edmonton. And Vancouver's really come unglued here, haven't they? An outlet to Mathias with Kassian. Kassian shoots. Great save by Scrivens. Boy, he needed that one. Back the other way. Yakupov's pass picked off. And the Canucks can't take off. David Perron backs Weber up. Turns and fires, and Ryan Miller makes the save, and the rebound comes back to him, and he hangs on. What a game now. Even up. 2 and 11 seconds for the Oilers on Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey. It's 3-3.
I bet you didn't think this was going to happen, Steven. Yes, sitting in the dressing room. Wow, I'm called up? No. You're going to tie Gordie Howe for the Gordie Howe hat trick. Gordie of legend had one. There's the fight. There's the goal. And a little redirect here. That leads to Boyd Gordon's goal. You got a goal, an assist, a fight, and you've tied your career high for points. 2. No, you only had 2 in your whole career. You have 2 tonight. What a start. What a night.
Okay, so you better win the game when your fourth line starts getting you all the points. Here's Derek Dorsett off Vancouver's fourth line. Couldn't quite get to the net because of the referee, but showed some great speed, didn't he? Dorsett again. Yannick Hansen. Bo Horvat's in front of the net. Hansen to the blue line, and Chris Tanev, a bouncing puck, gave him fits, and now he's being chased by Benoit Pouliot.
You could sense the hesitation by Tanev there. He wasn't sure whether he should stay or go as he saw it bouncing towards him.
Puck's bounced to center. Hansen and Dorsett couldn't come up with it. Denny Purcell to Pouliot. Draisaitl is with them. He wanted the puck in the slot. They couldn't get it to him. The Sedins are coming on here as the puck drifts down the ice. This will be an icing call against Vancouver.
Ladies and gentlemen, Canada Post is proud to offer exclusive dancing collectibles.
Facing a compromising situation? We can help. Apply today at wiserfund.ca. No purchase necessary. Must be legal drinking age.
An icing call as Sedins got on the ice. Verbata didn't, so Bo Horvat is out with the Sedins, and the Oilers came with their top line. Nothing happened though. The Canucks were able to get out of that little scrape after an icing call, and now they have their top line against the Nugent-Hopkins line of the Oilers. Nikita, 6'4" defenseman, passed into a crowd, got the puck back, and played it into Jordan Eberle. Board battle. Henrik Sedin in support of his defense. Taylor Hall came in and got the puck. Nikitin, and there's a penalty coming up on the play, and the Oilers had possession.
And Nugent-Hopkins can't believe this happened. It's an errant stick again, 200 feet from your own net when you're starting to get the momentum of the game back. And his reaction says it all. Loose puck, and then just stick to the feet of Weber and went down. And one of the best attributes of a great goaltender is to shut the door when your team starts coming on. My ex-teammate Grant Fuhr was probably the best at that. Remember that save by Ben Scrivens. And a 2-on-1 there. He threw his body over to keep it a tie game. That's a huge save.
Guess we better pay attention off the faceoff here.
Yeah, don't wait.
2 seconds and 3 seconds for power play goals off faceoffs here in the second period. Vancouver's second power play unit is out. Bonino. Burrows went to the front of the net. A bouncing puck knocked down to the line by Dan Hamhuis. He'll play the puck back side of the net. Here's Bieksa, stopped by Scrivens. Oh, redirect through to Kevin Bieksa, and that looked like a gift-wrap tap-in. And Scrivens made another big one.
It was a tough bouncing puck, but I think Bieksa definitely let up on that. He thought he had a gaping half the net to deal with.
Here comes Chris Higgins with his shot, and he just missed. Bieksa. Burrows, Higgins, Bonino had his stick checked, and there was Hamhuis, and he had an open net, but the puck somehow got over his stick. Burrows to Bieksa, trying to get himself open against Arcobello. Hamhuis under some pressure here, and Pouliot took the puck away, sends Mark Arcobello away, and he delays a little bit, then takes a shot and peels off to the bench. Long stretch pass for Daniel Sedin as the first power play units come on for Vancouver. Bonino hits Yannick Weber. His shot hits the back of Ben Scrivens' glove.
Well, credit Scrivens with his best little stretch. The big save on the 2-on-1, then nifty little passing play. Watch the rolling puck over the stick of Scrivens and bouncing towards skate to stick, and an excellent effort. Another chance, a rolling puck late in the power play. 2 quick passes. Hamhuis tries to go back door as well with the puck bounce.
Canucks win the ensuing faceoff. Weber walks the line. Radim Vrbata walks in, shoots, he scores! Another one right off a faceoff, and Vancouver with a power play goal has taken the lead again 4-3.
Dimmitt wasn't quite off the faceoff like the 2 goals we saw before, but the faceoff had everything to do with it. Great execution after winning the draw. Henrik wins the draw, goes right to the front of the net, and this time Ben Scrivens can't fight for his spot. No movement at all by Henrik, and Scrivens back deep in his net. Nikitin can't get down and block it, and you can see the reaction of the goaltender. Can't even see him behind the Canucks.
I am right behind that Vrbata shot, and no chance, no sight line at all. In fact, this glove save before the faceoff. Weber and Vrbata had a little chat. Weber shot it, didn't give it to Vrbata. We talked about it. There, Vrbata shoots it from a Weber pass, and it's in the back of the net.
2-goal game for Vrbata. Another point for one of the Sedins. Daniel, there's a shot from the blue line that's knocked down in front of the net, and the Canucks have 2 power play goals, so they cured some of those problems tonight.
Again, 5 days to work on the things that were ailing them.
And Yannick Weber has been the key addition to that first power play unit, and it looked good in that play. Here's Zach Kassian trying to get himself open. Alex Edler trying to help out.
Another example, you don't have to be a big, tough body to be in front of the net, do you? Like, you don't think of Henrik Sedin as that menacing body in front of the goaltender, but he did it effectively, didn't he?
Not the prototypical big guy to go to the front of the net. And he did a nice job there, and a stumble at the blue line by Pouliot put himself offside. There's hockey almost every night somewhere on Sportsnet. Tomorrow night, it's the NHL on Sportsnet 360. It's Washington Capitals and Alex Ovechkin against the Colorado Avalanche, trying to get their game together in the West. Jeff Merrick hosts Thursday night hockey on Sportsnet 360. David Perron in for Edmonton, bounced off the puck by Kevin Bieksa, got it back, cuts for the net, can't get a shot. Arcabello had Perron get in his way, and Jannik Hansen takes the puck and darts to center. Pushing Ferentz back, he takes the shot off the glove of Scrivens. Backhanded in by Derek Dorsett. Oilers get the puck and they'll break out. Petrie, the defenseman trailing the play, now leads the play. What a nifty move by Petrie into the slot, and what an equally nifty move to slide and block by Ryan Stanton.
Yeah, no hesitation by Stanton there. Petrie had to grab his stick and get himself gathered.
Here's Radim Vrbata back to the attack. Hits the trailer. It's Henrik Sedin to the net that was blocked. Little slider, he wanted to get that through to Daniel. Vrbata looking for the hat trick. Daniel looks for his brother. Henrik shot blocked by a skate in front of the net. And the Oilers, Leon Draisaitl. Hamhuis on the other side. Weber's shot just missed the net. Here's another chance for the Sedins. Daniel and Henrik with their magic, and that's broken up. And finally the Oilers get out through center. Draisaitl. Pouliot wants the puck from Purcell, takes the shot from a sharp angle, and it sends his teammates all the way back into their own zone. Taylor Hall just off the bench, takes a long pass. Watched by Chris Tanev. Nugent Hopkins comes in. Purcell stays, he's in front of the net. Hall, Tanev works him over. And the Canucks get the puck back. The dying seconds of the period, Nick Bonino's just going to try and eat it here along the boards. And so ends the second period. The Oilers caught the Canucks. But Vancouver forged ahead with its second power play goal. Next, on Wednesday Night Hockey, To the Point with Nick Kypreos and Darren Pang. Be ready to vote. Wednesday Night Hockey continues in a moment.
Welcome back to Rexall Place. Wayne Gretzky and friends made for some long nights in this building for opposing goaltenders, and it has been like that on occasion for Ryan Miller. He's either very good or not so good. Now, Miller, when he first got into the National Hockey League, it was with the Buffalo Sabres, and he wore 39, but there was a guy named Dominic Hasek there. Changed his number, but not what he does to his goalie sticks. In college, he was 39-er, and even though the numbers changed, he still puts the on his stick. Now, 30-er doesn't have the same ring to it, but despite his ups and downs with Vancouver, he's only a period away from his 12th win of the season.
Was what he was saying after 2 goals.
Yeah, it was
11 seconds in the second period. One deflected by one of his forwards. The other, I think he was still thinking about the first. So we go to the third period with Vancouver having outplayed Edmonton, but only leading by a goal. The Sedins and Radim Vrbata are on the ice. They have 4 points between them and have had a great night. Radim Vrbata has his 28th National Hockey League 2-goal game.
Can I disagree with Gene? There weren't a lot of long nights here for goalies with Gretzky and company.
They were short.
They were really short, and I had a couple of them.
Yeah.
End of the first, 6-0 Edmonton. Whoops.
I remember those days when it was Death Valley in Alberta. Chris Tanev chased by Jordan Eberle. Calmly played the puck to Burrows, and out to center. Here's Daniel Sedin. Chris crossing the drop pass. Edler to Nick Bonino. Edler stays in deep. The puck does too. Kevin Bieksa kept it in.
That's a big play by Jeff Petrie there on yet another 3-on-2 coming back the other way. First shift of the third period.
Oilers can't get the puck out. That's their second chance, and they're back in again. Nikita, the short pass shoveled up the boards, and puck almost stayed in again. Bieksa knocked it down, and he'll play the puck back. Here comes Bonino.
They got 4 guys on the ice right now.
They're playing a man short.
Come on, somebody on the bench has got to notice that.
Finally, Pinizzotto comes on here, and the Oilers play 20 seconds with a man short. Pinizzotto, Hendricks, and Gordon, and now they're starting a change. Here's Zach Kassian for Vancouver driving wide. Will he take it to the net? In behind, watched by Draisaitl. Left the puck there for Brad Richardson. He'll battle with Petrie. Draisaitl will come back in support. Move the puck up the boards. Dan Hamhuis read that brilliantly and held the puck in. But he couldn't get it through to Richardson. Ferentz up the boards. Kassian is there, but he overskated the puck. Weber with a shot. That was blocked. There's Zach Kassian again, back to the blue line. Weber to the side of the net. That was deflected by Draisaitl, so Richardson couldn't get a clean look at the net. Sean Mathias. Edmonton got a hold of the puck, and Hendricks threw it out to center and gets to the bench on the change. Petrie to Ferentz in his own zone. Out comes Vancouver's 4th line. Horvat forechecking. Draisaitl needs a change, so he tips the puck in for Edmonton. Horvat gets the puck back, looking for Derek Dorsett. Broken up by Schultz, and then Horvat got the puck, but Hansen was just ahead of him offside.
Well, let's take a look at what would be the game-winning goal, and it was a Weber shot here. That was a nice save by Scrivens. Now Weber talks to Vrbata. You better give me that puck there. A little bit more communication here. I want my brother who can handle the puck, not you, Mr. Kassian. Face-off win, head fake, a little bit more communication, and the play is just as they designed. Oh, about 20 seconds after what would have been a save by Scrivens.
Lyndon Bay had been playing on that first power play unit. He's a healthy scratch for the first time tonight. So Yannick Weber gets to stay in the lineup. Lucas Pisa was ready to come back, but Weber stays in because he's on the power play. And Vancouver's going to be penalized here. A slashing penalty to Derek Dorsett puts Edmonton on the power play again. For the 3rd time, they've scored once, and they've scored off a face-off, but not this time.
2 minutes for slashing. The time 2 minutes.
An opportunity for Edmonton if they get their power play going to get even again, but Vancouver does have a short-handed goal.
You can see Vancouver very aggressive here. Doesn't want to give Edmonton any free ice in the neutral zone, really pressuring them, and at times taking some chances even.
Nikita to center. Draisaitl 1-on-4. He's turned back. Oilers are going to start a change. On comes Taylor Hall. Eberle and Nugent Hopkins stand up and get ready to go. Nail Yakupov. Hard around. Leon Draisaitl into the middle of the ice. Hall couldn't get a shot away, but Purcell does, and he's stopped by Ryan Miller. Teddy Purcell again playing the left point of the power play. On the other side, to Keaton, to Yakupov in traffic. Canucks take the puck back, and as Burrows clears it, down goes Yakupov, and there'll be a penalty on the play.
Well, the first penalty was a slash by Dorsett on a stick. Kind of went unnoticed. He was just coming back into the play. Puck was there for a split second, and it was gone and broken stick. Here's the other slash in the middle of traffic. This is a tough play for Yakupov to make. And Burrows, as you saw the puck go bouncing by, got his stick up and rode up the stick and into the face of Yakupov.
So a pivotal part of the game right now. 58 seconds left in the Dorsett penalty. A 58-second 5-on-3 opportunity for Edmonton, trailing by a goal. Nugent Hopkins on to take the draw. Eberle's with it. David Perron. Justin Schultz has the puck in the blue line. He and Taylor Hall switch places, and they'll start to close in. Perron screening in front of the net. R&H. Hall moves to the right side. One-timer that was blocked. Bonino tried to clear the puck, and he just got it by Taylor Hall out to center.
That was a choreographed play as you saw Hall slide out, but Edler read it perfectly, followed the pass across, and got in shooting lane.
Cross-ice pass is blocked. David Perron. Hall's right behind him. Takes the puck under some pressure. Richardson then backed off. Edler and Tanev, the defenseman, back. There's a one-timer. Schultz missed the net. And because of the angle he was at, he's got to go back into his own zone to get the puck. And the first penalty's just about over.
And that miss is about an extra 25 seconds worth of setup again.
And gets it back to a 5-on-4. Dorsett's back on. Taylor Hall carries the puck in. Taken away by Bieksa. Dorsett out of the penalty box. Short by only a man. Now he goes for a skate. Holds up and ranks the puck here. Henrik Sedin on with Derek Dorsett right now. Now Dorsett's going to skate over to the box and change. 40 seconds to go into power play. Oilers are changing and the fans are impatient. Leon Draisaitl. Yakupov is on the fly, trying to do it himself, and he's turned back. Daniel and Henrik have done a little bit of penalty killing, usually just right at the tail end of a penalty, but they're out there right now after the 5-on-3. Here's a pass to Draisaitl. He shoots, and how did that not get into the net? What a great chance for Leon Draisaitl. I think the puck hit the netting at some point and the play is stopped.
Yeah, it was a good read by Matt McPherson. He ended up calling it as the puck went around. Nice defensive effort. Edler took away the cross seam pass, then reads the little switch out, gets there quickly, closes the gap, and makes the nice solid block. There's a nifty pass cross seam that Draisaitl had a split second to get it up and over, and he got up and over a little too high.
Yeah. Well, you think of the two good chances they had on that power play. Schultz misses the net and Draisaitl misses the net. You know, the fans are impatient because they know in any game there's a point when the game can be won. And that was the 5-on-3, and it's slipped through the Oilers' fingers.
One shot on that long power play. Burrows is now back on. It's 5-on-5. Ferentz to Petrie to the net. Miller with the save. The rebound gobbled up by the Canucks, and Brad Richardson starts out. From center, Burrows dumps the puck in. Vancouver changes. 58 seconds of 5-on-3, and now the power play is 1 for 4 on the night as the puck got up in the air here and hit the clock. 4-3 Vancouver leading. Big penalty kill for the Canucks on Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey from Edmonton. Coming up on Rogers Sportsnet tomorrow night on 360, the Capitals and the Avalanche hosted by Jeff Merrick. The Avalanche have to get going. They're 7 points out of a playoff spot and faltering to start the season. Washington holds a playoff spot in the Metropolitan Division. Big night on Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday with 5 games, including a couple of late ones with Calgary and Edmonton playing on Saturday night late. So lots of choice for you on Saturday. Canucks just won the faceoff. Tanev with a shot. Scrivens with the save. And the Oilers get the puck in the rebound and break out. Ryan Nugent Hopkins takes the shot deflected wide of the net by Tanev. Taylor Hall gathers in the puck. Back to the blue line. Here's Ferentz from Petrie. His shot, he scores! Hendricks, the captain of the Oilers, with a long shot that beats Miller, and it's tied 4-4.
And Jim, that's back-to-back shifts that Dallas Eakins put Bonino as the mark against Nugent Hopkins. And look at the battle in front. Good positioning by Eberle. That creates a screen. Good heads-up play by Ference. And right over the glove. Both Burrows and Eberle, the two 14s. A screen for Miller, never saw it. Good reaction and a great goal.
As a goaltender, if you're going to block the shot, get in front of it. If you're not, get out of the way, because Miller more than likely stops that Ference shot.
First of the season for Ference. Schultz and Hall get the assists to tie the game, and Miller makes a save on the ensuing shot by Matt Hendricks.
And the fact that Dallas Eakins got that different matchup. He got Nugent Hopkins away from the Sedins as they played most of the night. And Glenn, as you said, a heads-up play at least by Ference, but look at how deep Miller is back in his net. He's well inside the blue paint there.
That one deflected.
No, straight in. And another unlikely guy to score a goal tonight. He hasn't scored in 16, and he scores what would be the tire now.
Ryan Miller, that's a lot of goals he's given up in his last 4 games, 16 of them.
He got pulled in Los Angeles, and they went with Eddie Lack the next night, a couple of weeks ago.
Got a win over Ottawa. And got beat up pretty badly by Arizona. Now 4 goals tonight in a game in which his team has been better than Edmonton. Would you think?
Yeah, it's a game where you look to some strength of your goaltender to give you a save when you had the game in hand. It was a 3-1 comfortable lead on the road against a team that you know had a little bit of fragile confidence, but those 2 goals in the second got the Oilers some life, and then Ference really invigorating this build.
Well, we watched both coaches' press conferences. I think they'll both say the same thing.
Yeah.
Too many turnovers. Oilers did it early, and Vancouver followed suit. They took a page out of the same songbook and did the same thing.
Stopped playing when they got the big lead. And for just a short time, the Sedins now out against the Arcobello line as Dallas Eakins wanted to free up Nugent Hopkins and his group to get some offense. Vancouver's changed on the fly here. David Perron is down on the ice. Brad Richardson dumps the puck in. A delayed offside is called.
Okay, I'm going to come up with a new segment, In the Crease. If I was back at the studio, I would show this on the big screen. This is what not to do in the blue paint. Bump the goalie, take a penalty, goals disallowed. Not the way to do it. Let's look at the proper way to do it. And that's the way Sedin does it. Doesn't stay anywhere near the blue paint, stays in the white, and Scrivens has no chance to see the puck. The bad and the good, all on one night.
Leon Draisaitl wink wide. That's knocked out of the air by Yakupov, and then his shot is deflected out of play. Dan Handus calmly stayed right with him.
You think of Draisaitl, some big minutes here. He and Purcell driving up the middle. Not the best pass, but it's a heck of a play by Purcell to knock it down. Good speed to the outside, and boy, it's nothing like getting 1 goal early in a game. Give you some life, give you some legs. Purcell has not played with the intensity that you've seen in the latter part of this game since that goal. That's the type of game you need to see from him.
Gordon won the draw. Petrie's shot is stopped by Miller with some traffic headed for the net, and there'll be another face-off in Edmonton's attacking zone.
Glenn, what's going through your head if you're Ryan Miller right now?
I got to make the next save. Don't worry about the last one. It's, as a goalie, it's always the next one. Because you're right, the game was in hand. They added one. You're looking ahead to tomorrow night where they play. More than likely Eddie Lack plays that game because he was so good against that opponent before it earlier this year. So he's got to play well for 12 minutes. Hope his team gets a goal and don't give up on it.
Chris Higgins gets the puck deep for Vancouver. Burrows, Nick Bonino. Back to the blue line, and Chris Tanev, big screen in front as the puck comes down again to Burrows. He tipped it through. Higgins out front, couldn't get a shot. Stick was checked by Steve Pinizzotto. Hendricks to Gordon. And Wood plays the puck back deep into his own zone. Ference to Petrie, and back even further, and the puck skipped away from Ference, and will the Oilers get it out? Nugent Hopkins up the boards. Eberle lifts the puck in the air onto his own bench, and play is stopped. 4 4-4 with 11:27 left in the third period at Rexall Place.
I think the importance of face-off becomes even more so in this game with what we've seen come out of wins on the draw.
3 goals off of face-offs, and some of them less than 5 seconds off of the draw. You don't see that often.
Boyd Gordon won another one in his own end. The Oilers don't get any further than center. Back to the matchup of the Sedins against Nugent Hopkins. Henrik. Button hook trying to beat Daniel. Verbata's already in behind the net and takes the pass. Centered and picked off. And out comes Jordan Eberle. Got Taylor Hall a little bit behind him. Stanton took the man. There's going to be a penalty on the play. It's a tripping call. And the Edmonton Oilers are going to get a power play here with 10:53 to go in the third and another chance to get ahead.
You know, as a forward, when you get the puck in the neutral zone, you see you don't have any support. You just try to buy yourself some time, get some open ice, and instead, a little bit of a delay, stutter step by Eberle, tried to go outside, inside, and Stanton just got his stick tied in between. There weren't many options there for him, but a nice job instead of just throwing it away, creating something and getting a power play.
Well, once again, Edmonton's top line was on the ice, so the second power play unit has to start here. Arcobello will try and win the face-off against Brad Richardson. Off the draw, the Oilers get the puck. Teddy Purcell again walks in, then the pass in front, a bouncing puck. Pouliot knocks it down and gets a return pass. Back to the blue line, Justin Schultz over on the other side. The quick shot is blocked. Here comes Purcell, knocks the puck loose. Purcell again, the screen set up, he goes across the ice and Miller had to make a good save on the quick shot by Yakupov. Schultz intercepted. Here's a 2-on-1 shorthanded. Chris Higgins, Richardson heads for the net, takes the pass, backhander stopped by Scrivens. Flailed at it and got a piece of it. And the Oilers still on the power play and still in a tie. Shoot in, David Perron is after the puck. Kevin Bieksa is back. He lost his footing. Dan Hamhuis can't clear the puck. Justin Schultz into the middle. Ryan Nugent Hopkins walks in. Neglected to shoot. Taylor Hall. Warren H. Perron in front of the net. Eberle's back at the blue line. And Schultz goes along the boards now to Taylor Hall. Battling to get the puck is Dan Hamhuis. He got knocked down. Here's Eberle to Schultz. Eberle can't get the shot away, so he throws the puck back to the blue line. Schultz on the other side. Hall whips it around. Eberle shoots. Miller makes the save and hangs on.
Well, a good push at the end of the power play by the Edmonton Oilers, but it was the Vancouver Canucks with the best chance. Botched pass. Look at Higgins with his head up the entire way, and Richardson on his backhand able to get that up. This is a heck of an effort going across by both Richardson to get this puck in the air, and watch Scrivens. He's down early and just keeps the arm up long enough to get a piece of that one and keep it out of the net.
2 breakaways, 11 odd man rushes.
Fun to watch.
Great to call. Wouldn't want to be a goalie or a coach.
Dying seconds of this 5th Edmonton power play. Just about another 2-on-1 there on a turnover inside the line.
That was miscommunication. I think Nikitin was thinking Nugent Hopkins was going to trail behind and do the bump back, and they ended up shoulder to shoulder.
Nikitin shoots the puck in. Alex Edler is there to clear the puck the length of the ice. Just one shot on that power play. It was by Eberle. And the power play's over. Stanton is back on. Heads to the bench. Here's Matt Hendricks driving towards the net. Bumped the goaltender. The puck went in behind. Hendricks centering pass. Couple of whacks at it in front for Boyd Gordon. Already got one of the night. Radom Verbata starts out with the Sedins. Daniels ahead of the play. Takes the puck off the boards. He's got Weber in front. He scores! Beauty of a goal. Yannick Weber's eyes lit up when he saw an opportunity to jump, and he's given Vancouver a 5-4 lead.
And you talk about matchups so often as maybe at times inconsequential. Well, here you get an opportunity with fourth line up against the Sedins. They pressure offensively. Boyd Gordon can't make a play. Pinizzotto makes a dangerous gamble there, and that creates an odd man rush. Patience by Sedin, and a perfectly placed pass. Little delay, little bump back, got a little lucky break. Weber joining and up and over the glove of Scriven.
We've seen the Sedins at their finest tonight. Henrik to Daniel with an indirect pass, and Yannick Weber jumped in to finish it and give Vancouver another lead, 5-4. That's 6 points tonight for the Sedin line.
Number 6, Yannick Weber.
Well, the Oilers have another answer. And Draisaitl, Purcell, and Pouliot. This might be the line to get them even again. Yannick Hansen flips the puck in. Bo Horvat in on Justin Schultz.
And Henrik Sedin at 11:32.
Eddie Purcell in traffic, chopped the puck just wide of the net. Ferentz, the defenseman, is in deep through the puck out front. Here's Schultz walking in off the blue line. Puck's up for grabs, and Schultz stays right on it. Pouliot. Schultz. Quick shot, and a nice save there by Ryan Miller on a shot by Nikitin. And Nikitin's back defensively now. Yannick Hansen is on his own. His mates are changing. Didn't get the puck deep, but the Canucks will get it back. Brad Richardson. John Mathias forechecking. Neil Yakupov.
Schultz is just dead tired, can barely make a play.
And now he gets to slowly go off. And Petrie comes on. Yakupov is out in front of the net. Warner's trying to get at the puck, but the Canucks take it away. Alex Edler got twisted around, got the puck out to center. Zach Kassian forechecking. Petrie to Arcobello and back. Nikitin. Drives one in wide at the net. And it'll go for an icing call. And now he's got to stay on the ice and go back into his own zone. I'd hope to slap that in. Either he was aiming at the net or he thought a teammate was going to get there first.
You know, that's a byproduct again of the forwards going back and forth and weaving their way in and around. Nobody's open for a pass. As a defenseman, you're dead tired, you're looking for a body, and there isn't one.
Mistake made, face-off at center.
Yeah. So it's not an icing call, it's a face-off at center ice when we come back on Wednesday Night Hockey from Edmonton. Nightmarish night for coaches as we look back on the keys to this game for Tim Hortons.
Well, there's some positives, and it would be positive for Vancouver. A 5-on-3 kill for an extended period of time. And Vancouver did a really good job of pressuring when they had to, getting in shooting lanes, forcing players to miss the net, forcing pucks to be blocked, and that's a big part of the game because it was 4-3 at the time. And the Edmonton Oilers, it's kind of the same old turnovers and odd man rushes. A couple breakaways, 12 odd man rushes, and the Weber goal, the last odd man rush, maybe stands up as the game winner.
Still a shot away from tying it again. 3 times they've come from behind to tie this up. By the way, on that play just before the TV timeout, the linesman ruled that Nikitin's shoot-in was actually tipped, so it wasn't icing. Now a face-off in the attacking zone for Vancouver, and Willie Desjardins sends out the Sedins.
High sticking penalty against the Oilers.
Taylor Hall. He got his stick up on Chris Higgins. And here's the penalty in the neutral zone.
That's just an errant stick as well. I think that Nugent Hopkins actually, when he cut in front of him, might have knocked his stick, which propelled it in. Nonetheless, no question of penalty, and what an opportunity to close this game out.
2 for 4 on the power play tonight. Bouncing puck and held into the line by Yannick Weber, who's got a goal for the first time in 14 games, his first of the season. Daniel. Henry. Zach Kassian out of this power play. Weber, the lone defenseman, and he gets the puck. I find it interesting that Vancouver Vancouver's doing a little experimentation on the power play here, and they only have one defenseman on in the third period with a 1-goal lead. So you figure the Sedins will have the puck most of the time.
That's the time when you have not been a confident power play for the last 8 games or so. They look like they've got their confidence and their edge going tonight.
There's Higgins, dropped the puck off. Bonino couldn't quite get it, and the Oilers are able to clear. Pouliot sent the puck down the ice. They kill this. Oilers will have about 4 minutes with which to work to try and tie this up. Here's Kevin Bieksa's centering pass, deflected. Higgins couldn't knock it out of the air, and the Canucks have to regroup, and this is the worst looking power play of all the ones they've had tonight. It's a bit of a soup sandwich.
That's what you call a clock killer, though, for Edmonton. Tick-tock, time's going by.
Higgins to Burrows. Kevin Bieksa. It's away from Pouliot. Put the puck at the side of the net, wants it back. Instead, the puck comes back to Bonino on the other side. Hamhuis with a wrist shot. Blocked by Pouliot, who gets the puck down the ice in the last 10 seconds of the Taylor Hall penalty.
There's a big individual effort to finish off what was a really critical penalty kill. Now you need to get some energy, get some emotion, and this last push to try to get back in the game.
5-on-5 again as Hall returns. No icing here. Scrivens sets the puck up for Nikita. Bouncing puck to the front of the net. Here's Kassian. He fanned on the shot. Plays the puck to Tanev. Sean Matthias in front of the net. Kassian hunting the puck to Matthias out front. Richardson can't get a shot. Backhander by Matthias is blocked. In comes Chris Tanev to Zach Kassian. Scrivens was down. He's back up. Kassian with the puck in from Matthias in traffic. Richardson right there with him, but the Oilers managed to take it back, and now they get out to center. Teddy Purcell's pass. He gets it back, takes a shot. Miller makes the save. Purcell's had the puck on his stick all night. Back in the blue line, Mark Fane open, but the pass comes across. Here's Schultz. His shot went off a stick, off the glass, and stays in. Fane kept the puck in along the boards. Taylor Hall. On comes Nugent Hopkins. Purcell in the corner as well. Off the bench comes Jeff Petrie, and he'll get the puck with 3 minutes to go. A couple more shifts for the top line. One of them now. Nugent Hopkins gets to center. A return pass from David Perron. Walks into the open. He had a shot. Petrie takes one, and that's deflected up off the glass by Ryan Stanton and Bo Horvat. Found the carom, and he fell, didn't get the puck out. Petrie's pass is an errant one, and the Canucks get a break there and clear the puck down the ice. Jannik Hansen into the middle. Daniel Sedin for Bo Horvat, and a great play to tip that away, and the Oilers are back through center. Off the wing, Leon Draisaitl to the front of the net. Puck's knocked into the corner. Draisaitl kept the puck in, but he gave it away. Jannik Hansen. Dan Hamhuis steps to center. Pouliot's trying to check him as Hamhuis dumps the puck in. And the play is stopped. The delayed offside call. 2:10 to go in the third period. A little rest, and the Nugent Hopkins line will likely be back when we come back on Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey. Welcome back to a night at the bakery. Turnovers for everyone.
Well, lots of talk behind both benches. Coaches talk about protecting the puck. Nikita Nikitin just errantly throws it away, and look at the chaos in front of the net as Ben Scrivens tries to find the puck through traffic. Lots of bodies flying side to side. A defenseman coming back and getting inside the net. All kinds of turnovers in this game on both ends.
That's why we see all the saves by Scrivens. 19 of them, Simmer.
There's Taylor Hall with a shot into the corner. Predictably, after the last TV timeout, Oilers' top line is on the ice, and they have the puck. Hall turns, trying to get himself open. The goaltender's coming out for the extra attacker. With 1:47 to go, Scrivens got to the bench. Petrie has the puck. Ferentz advanced the puck. Hall goes after it against Bieksa. It comes loose to Alex Edler. Round on the boards. Teddy Purcell threw the puck at the net, tipped wide. Taylor Hall is in after it. Cycles back in the corner. Henrik Sedin's trying to break that cycle. Bieksa gets grabbed onto. Oilers get the puck to the blue line. David Perron shoots. And Ryan Miller makes the save. There was no screen in front of him.
Yeah, you can see Perron almost defeated at throwing that one at the net. Nobody in front. He's not going to score from there. Some tired bodies out here. You wonder if a timeout will be called. And it looks like Dallas Eakins will be the one to try to gather his crew, get a rest.
Minute 19 to go, and his top players are all on the ice. They've had a 40-second shift, and they'll get a break here before they have another one. On Sportsnet, the magazine, the cover of the latest edition has a picture of Ryan Miller and asks the question, are they for real? I'm not entirely sure if we know tonight. The Sedins are certainly back with a vengeance this season.
I think without question, when Vancouver has been a great team and a long playoff team, they could defend. They could hold on to a one-goal lead and batten down a 1-0 game. Right now, the last 2 games, at least for them, have shown, Glenn, there's some weaknesses in there, but there's also a lot of strengths.
Well, they're having fun now, and you see Doug Lidster drawing a play up for them. Quick little story, when Doug Lidster was coaching his son's team, he came up to Toronto for a tournament. I drove to watch his son play, and within 5 minutes, Doug Lidster was kicked out of the game and out of the building.
Of course.
Because he was yelling at a referee. Now, he says that he left voluntarily. No, I was there, out, don't come back. Anyways, wonderful coaching staff, way different than last year, and it's a new coach, new approach, different attitude in Vancouver.
Look at the headbutting going on right now. Richardson.
Vancouver's won 62% of the faceoffs with Gordon. He's the Oilers' best and one of the best in the business. And Boyd Gordon's going to get waved out. That's a huge advantage for Vancouver. Nugent Hopkins is a centerman. He comes in to take the draw, and he won it straight back. Schultz, side of the net. Eberle shot. Bouncing puck, and Miller got over to make a save on Taylor Hall. Purcell can't hold the puck into the line. And the Oilers back up, regroup, and go back in again. Miller sets the puck up for Dan Hamhuis. Calmly up the boards. Nick Bonino with a nice play. Tipped the puck to Brad Richardson. He got it out through center. Eddie Purcell is back. Leaves the puck for Nugent Hopkins, and here comes 93. Dumps the puck in. Hamhuis first man back. Pushed the puck to the boards. Bonino made another nice play. Spun around. Too many Oilers there from the blue line. Schultz has to wait. Takes the shot. Still no traffic in front. An easy save for Miller. Still a half a minute to go. David Perron with the goaltender out of the extra. Attacker on. Back to the blue line. Schultz puts the puck in for Perron. He's got Hall with him behind the net. Eberle comes into the corner and takes the puck for Taylor Hall. Perron's in front of the net. Back to the blue line. Schultz, Nugent Hopkins, Taylor Hall. Great save by Miller. They score, and the rebound waved off. Kicked in. Right away, waved off.
I think this one's going to count, though, because he did kick it, Jim. It looked, though, like he touched it before it went over the line. There'll be a huddle between all the officials. What great action. That was an old-time shift. Kevin Bieksa was knocking bodies around. At that point, you're not worried about taking a penalty. In front, there's the save. Definitely kicked it first, but I thought he got a stick on it after. You be the judge.
David kicked. Did he get a stick on it? Before the goal line. David Perron badly needs this one. It would be just his second goal of the season. So where does his stick get it?
Oh boy, he didn't get it. It was the glove and stick of Miller that got it afterwards. It looked like live that right here when he kicks it, he gets it. Oh, and the stick of Miller gets in the way and knocks it in.
This one should show us that he doesn't touch the puck with his stick. There he kicks it.
Boy, so close. Miller almost got it and ended up knocking it in as well.
And just so everyone's clear, if it's kicked towards the net and it goes off of an Oiler player or sorry, a Vancouver player or the goalie, it's no goal. So that one, video evidence is damning.
You gotta like the fact that Gord Dwyer was very adamant. He saw it right away. Watching live, it looked there like the effort of Perron got a piece of it. But watch the official as he goes. He's right on top of it and had a great look at it.
I'm not sure what's taking them so long in the Situation Room in Toronto, having a look at this to make sure. So Dwyer, who made the call, is on the headset.
You can see the response of the players, and David Perron's right in front of me. There's no arguing. There's no Yeah, you're not going to be a lawyer and say, I did it. No, it hit my stick. No, he knows it. Came over and he watched the replay on the monitor, and you could tell right away that he knew what he felt was, in fact, what we saw.
And you know what, Glenn, he probably, with so much bodies in front, he felt something, but it was actually the blocker of Miller that he hit and not the puck with his stick.
Still 8 seconds left, so they've timed, especially with Boyd Gordon, for a face-off win and a chance at the net.
Think about the face-off plays we've seen in the game tonight, so 9 seconds seems like an eternity.
1 goal with 2 seconds, 1 goal with 3 seconds off of a draw.
And guys, you remember the liberalization of the kicking motion, but I don't think there's any question that they've allowed a lot more goals this year where the foot has been moving. So that one, to me, there's no question that it was a kicking motion that knocked it in.
It's taken a long time, and finally we have the official decision.
Upon further video review, the puck was kicked, deflected off the goaltender's blocker, not his stick, therefore no goal.
Good call right from the start for Gord Dwyer. And now the faceoff comes outside the blue line with 8.1 on the clock. Another look at the close call. That's exactly what Gord saw from behind the net and the way he described it. So the Oilers keep their net empty. Shots are now 31-31. Edmonton has fought back to tie this game 3 times, only to have Vancouver forge ahead again. And Vancouver's 8.1 seconds away from a 4th consecutive victory over the Oilers this season. They won't meet again till April. And the Oilers will be happy they don't have to see the Sedins again for a while.
And a real disadvantage that the faceoff comes outside, isn't it? If that had been a play that Miller just gathered, would it not be inside?
If he had smothered the puck.
Smothered the puck, yeah. All the bodies came in, the D came in, everybody swarmed the net too. I think they're probably looking at the time, which they are, and they now put 2 seconds up. So 10.1.
Still from the neutral zone, it's a stretch for Edmonton.
Hey, we've seen a lot of weird things today, though. You never know.
Fun game. Scrum off the faceoff, and the Oilers getting the puck in. Taylor Hall shoots, stopped by Miller and deflected up into the netting. And the play is stopped in a hurry with a couple of seconds to go, and it just about happened.
Glenn, you've seen a bit of everything, huh?
Well, you would think Sedin would go forward with this face-off, and he tries to go backwards, and you've got 4 guys standing around. And Miller, we talked about him. Don't worry about the last one. Worry about the next one. You know, he's a goaltender who's been around for a long time, and it looks like he's going to make it now perfect 11-0 against the Edmonton Oilers.
That's amazing. The only goaltender more dominant than that was Antero Nitti-Mäki against the Thrashers with 17 straight. They just checked the clock again and put another tick back on. It's 3.4. Down goes Richardson. Up with the puck comes Bonino, gets it to center, and this wild one is over. 4 straight wins for Vancouver over Edmonton this season, and an 11-0 record for Ryan Miller against Edmonton.
Well, you don't apologize for the wins, and for Miller and company, they had the game in hand. It looked like it was going to be an easy night, but they ended up having to fight a lot harder than they expected to get the win.
And 1 point up, 3-1. They'll finish 5-4 and head home to play Ryan Kessler and the Anaheim Ducks. There are our 3 stars. The Sedins always great here. Vrbata with 2 goals, and Pinizzotto with his first goal of the season. A wild one in Edmonton, and the Canucks run at 5-4. And now here's Ken and Ivanka.